Okay, so come and stand in the middle of your mat. Feet hip width apart, wiggling the toes. Draw the arches up underneath the feet, soften the knees, tuck the pelvis under. Start to find the pelvic floor and pull in. Front bit, back bit. Find that TVA, just take a little squeeze now. Tummy button pulled back towards the spine, lift the rib cage. Take the shoulders down and back, and then think about this crown of the head now, just shining up towards the stars. Palms are facing forwards. Feel the length there at the back of the neck. 3 times, and we're going to pull in 6 seconds on the pelvic floor TVA. Now, if you normally go pelvic floor and then TVA, let's just switch it. So go TVA and then pelvic floor, just for fun, okay? Just so you know you can switch things, right? So pulling in, and you're going to hold for 6 seconds, and then we'll take a slow release. So switch it. If you do them together, great. That's totally fine. Otherwise, switch it over. So for me, I always go pelvic floor and then TVA, so I'm going to do it the other way around. So TVA, pelvic floor, pull in, squeeze. 100%. Check you're not holding your breath. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow release. Let's go again. TVA, pelvic floor, pulling in. Keeping that pelvis tucked under. 6, 5, 4. Check you're not holding your breath. 3, 2, 1. Slow release. Last one. TVA, pelvic floor, pulling in. Big squeeze, 100%. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow release it down to 50%. And just keep an eye on reversing that. So if you normally do one then the other, let's have a go just in the whole session, doing it the other way around. So for me, that's the TVA, then the pelvic floor, just for fun, just to show that you can mentally switch something like that, okay? So holding in, pulling in on your 50%. I'm going to give you a breathing exercise, and we're going to go through it 10 times. You can watch me first, or you can go with me and we'll do it together. You breathe in through the nose, and you're going to do this three in breaths, 1 out breath. The first one, so you're going to make fist shapes. Breathe in through your nose to shoulder height in front. Then breathe in through your nose again, open. Then breathe in again, lift. Then release, breathing out all the way back down, okay? So we'll do it a couple of times, and then we'll go for the 10. So it's and out. So 3 in breaths. It's very energizing. So and out. We'll do it a couple more times. And you can do this at your own pace, okay? So we're just going to keep going for 10 of these now. 3 in-breaths. Sharp, speedy in-breath through the nose. Nice long out-breath through the nose or the mouth. Taking those fist shapes and still pulling in on that 50%. TVA, pelvic floor. Pelvis is tucked under. Should start feeling some energy now. Gets a little bit of opening on the chest. Quite nice if you just need to refresh or just kind of really switch out all the thoughts. If you've got any negativity, this is a really good one. 3 more. And 2. Last one. And release, just going back to normal breathing. I don't know how you feel after that, maybe you feel quite good. And we're going to just go normal breathing, still pulling in, just some nice shoulder circles. Lift shoulders up to the ears, a little bit of a squeeze, and take them back. Notice if you're kind of lifting rib cage in there and you're losing TVA. So remember, TVA pulled in, pelvic floor connected. Just shoulders lifting up to ears, a shoulder shrug. Adding in then, elbows lift and open. Elbows lift, open. Again, just shrugging the shoulders, lifting. We're adding in there, so arms all the way up and opening. Adding in if you want, adding the balance, lifting up onto the toes. Again, notice if you're pulling in TVA in that pelvic floor. Particularly as those heels come down, connecting to that pelvic floor, connecting back down to the earth. 2 more. Keeping that length at the back of the neck, crown of the head, shining up. Gonna take a little neck release, so just placing opposite hand onto the ear and just let the weight there of the arm just rest there. Ear going down to shoulder. Now if you want to add in, you can just take this hand that goes down to the goes down to your hip and just bring it across and just reach it around. So just reach it around, so it's kind of a little wave to the other side. Hello, little wave. Just breathing normally, TBA in, pelvic floor in. Slow release, and then we go to the other side. So just place that hand on the opposite ear, let that ear dip down to the shoulder. Just finding a nice, gentle neck stretch. Breathing normally. TVA where that tummy button sits, draw in, hollow towards the hips, pull in pelvic floor. If you want to add in just that little wiggle and that little wave. Ooh, hello. Try not to twist here. We're just taking ear down to shoulder. Try not to hold the breath. Slowly releasing out from that, coming back to center, and we're going to go to our side reaches, so it's a gentle reach down towards the side of the knee and re-center. Now you're going to see if you can pretend you're standing here in sinky mud, so feet really pressing down towards the mat, hips still. So the real stretch here goes into the side, and you're feeling those squeezes. Use the obliques, those core muscles to lift. TVA pulled in, pelvic floor connected. And you can just let the head, maybe it feels heavy, you can just let the head kind of follow the shoulder down. Ear down towards the shoulder and release it down. Check you're not holding the breath, breathing out, reaching down. 3 more. We're not dipping forwards, we're not dipping back. Don't sink too far down into the mud, come back up. Otherwise you're going to lose me. Recentering, then we're gonna add squats, and then we're gonna put the side bend in. So get yourself ready for a squat, whether you want to go wider. Scrunch up the toes, lift up the arches, bend the knees, reach the hands forwards, let's come down nice and low, squeeze the glutes, rise. Breathing out, coming down, breathing in, rise. Check you're getting that connection here, so from the feet up to those glutes, TVA pulled in, pelvic floor connected. So we're drawing that tummy button back towards the spine. So the add-in here, if you want to take it, is those side bends. So you come down for your squat and then lift up and over into a nice big side bend, and you can go palms together on that. Pull in the core, recenter, going back down into your squat. So it's a nice little combo if you want it there. Over into the side bend. It's almost like a streamlined swimming stretch there. Come down into that nice low squat. Breathe out into these extensions, right up onto those side bends. And coming down. Squeeze the glutes and lift. Keep those glutes engaged on your side bends. Adding in those obliques. TVA pulled in. Tummy button pulled in. Pelvic floor connected. Breathe out into those big extensions. Think about eye gaze here. So you're looking down. Let's look forwards. Almost placing, put your head in between those arms. Like you're wearing like a spacesuit, right? And your head's in that spacesuit. Two more. Really nice way just to wake up all the side body. We're going to do a little bit more of this later. Got a few more side stretches to come. Last one release, we're going to go down into your squat. I'll just bring the camera down and I'm just going to give you a gentle little twist to open out the chest. So down nice and low in your squat and almost resting, not the most gracious pose as this, right? But resting your elbows here on your knees, and then we're just going to lift one arm up towards the ceiling for a lovely little chest stretch. Take the eye gaze up. And then we can just switch that around. We're going to do a couple of these. So elbow into the knee. Lift the other arm up towards the ceiling. Take the eye gaze up. And you're just going to feel, and we're going to keep moving, you're going to feel that really juicy chest stretch, upper body opening. Think here about your knees. So when we're doing our squats, don't let the knees pronate in. So have a little check. You can almost put the other hand there to stop the knee pronating in. Coming down into your twist. Eye gaze looking up. Nice little chest stretch this. Pulling in that TVA. Pelvic floor connected. Two more. Breathing out. Last one. Pushing into the knee. Get into that twist. Recenter. Releasing, coming up. And we're going to go into our closed eyes, balance on one leg. So take the weight over to one leg. I'll adjust my camera again. Switch it over onto one leg. Find your balance. So using that big toe, scrunching up all the other toes, lift up the arch underneath the foot, squeeze the glutes, pull in the TVA, connect the pelvic floor. Notice if your shoulders are suddenly tensed up because you're trying to balance. So shoulders are nicely relaxed. Now just see if you can close your eyes and count to 10, right? You can always take fingertips. So thumb resting on the index finger is a really nice, that's a nice mantra for balance. Check you're not holding the breath. Then we're going to switch sides. So over onto the other foot, scrunch up the toes. A little bit of softening in the knees, squeeze the glutes. TVA, so tummy button, pulling in back towards the spine, pelvic floor connecting. Tucking under the pelvis, not holding the breath. Mantras there if you need them or want them. 10 seconds, closing the eyes. Just engages and switches on all of the feet, the brain. Switch it over onto the other side, then we're going to calf raise. If you want to hold on to something to start with, go for that. So all we're going to do is transfer the weight through the foot, through that big ball of the foot towards the big toe and lower. So just start nice and slow, don't lift up too high and lower. Now think about connections here. And sometimes you might want to do it off the mat, right? Because the squishy mat's quite hard to balance on. So you might want to come off your mat, it's up to you. But just think here about these connections. So from the foot, going up the leg to the glutes. I normally do pelvic floor, but this time I'm doing separate, right? So it goes TVA, pelvic floor. And the breath. We're not holding the breath. Keep the eyes open for this. Let's have this full concentration. Just finding a steady gaze on something. You can always use your fingertips out here. Go back to the mudras if that helps. Nice exercise here. Just like all the lower leg and the foot. Strengthening. But also balance. So I was working on about 10 lifts here, so I've got about 2 left. Concentrating faces. Switch sides then. First of all, get your balance. Check the arches engaging underneath the feet, scrunching up the toes. Go over to the ball of the foot and check the big toes engaging with this. And lower. It's the same thing when you're walking, when you're running, just keeping a check on how the foot's rolling forwards in your shoes. Are you going through that big toe? Because that's quite an important element. It's very strong. Glutes squeezing, TBAs engaging, pelvic floors pulling in and up. Mantras are there if you need them. Full connection all the way down to the fingertips. Check you're not holding the tension there in your shoulders or your chest. Maybe think about opening, so palms up. Almost like, you know, your scapula set. About 3 more. Nice. Take a big stride. We'll stretch the calf muscles out. So, just, I mean, I'm on the width of my mat. I've got one foot on the front bit, and I've got one foot on the back bit. Push down the back heel and hip width here. I'm not on a balance beam or anything like that. Pushing down that back heel, just a really nice calf stretch. Melt that heel into the ground, bending that front knee. And we're just going to interlink the fingers and take a nice figure of 8 for the wrists. I think sometimes we can forget like all these little muscles here. So figure of 8. I got a bit of clicking in there. So TBA's in, pelvis is tucked under, pelvic floors pulling up and in. Stretching out those calf muscles. I know we never do that enough, right? Then if you want more, eagle arms. You remember eagle arms? So just dipping one elbow underneath the other. Eagle arms, then take a figure of 8, right? Still holding that calf stretch, pushing down that back heel. Figure of 8, you dip one shoulder, then you lift, and then you go over to the other side, you dip, then you lift. Try and keep the hips still. So it's a little bit more like upper body movement in there. Nice. Thinking about maybe lifting the elbows, maybe even driving them forwards is another nice option. Kind of just really explore here, because this is kind of space between the shoulder blades. Nice shoulder release. Last one. Dipping, lifting, and release. And then we're going to calf stretch on the other side. So push down the other heel. Melting that heel down into the mat. And you might find that you're grounding through the back heel here and you're engaging through the front foot, right? So the toes on the front foot are really kind of feeling the floor. The arch is lifting. Then think pelvis. So think about lifting up that pelvis. This front knee is bent. That leg is straight. TBA's pulling in. Pelvic floors lifting up. Then we can look at the wrists again. Just taking those little figure of 8s. It helps to relax the shoulders. Trying not to look down for this one. So looking forwards. Then you can go back to those warriors. Not warriors, eagle arms. We're on warriors. So switch it, so the other elbow underneath. Then go back into your figure of 8s, dipping and lifting. Just exploring that space. Keeping the hips nice and still. We're still grounding through that back heel and engaging the front foot. Still pulling in TBA. Lifting up pelvic floor. A little bit of a test on balance, right? And maybe you want to explore going forwards or lifting a little bit higher. Last one. Check you're not holding the breath in here. and release. So last balance, and it's a stretch. So just going to turn so your palm faces the outside. So the thumb faces the back of your body, right? And then we're going to just take a quad stretch, but I'm going to encourage, what I'm going to encourage is you to go on the inside of your foot. So the thumb's going to face towards the back of your body, and then see if you can then hold the inside, because I think a lot of the time we quad stretch and we're holding the outside like this, but then what I want you to do is to turn, because then we open the chest. So thumb faces the back of the body, and then you have a very a different feel on this stretch, right? Because the whole chest, from the shoulder to the chest here, is nice and open. Then think about leveling out the shoulders, right? We don't want this shoulder dipping. Now pull in the pelvis, tuck under the pelvis, TVA pulled in, pelvic floor in, and we're starting to get like a different feel in these quad stretches, right? Quads are here at the front. So we've got this nice, oh, you can always hold on if you're struggling, right? But you've got this nice open chest and shoulder. Then if you want a little bit more, flexing this foot that's lifted, and you can just start lifting that foot up to the ceiling. So it goes into that dancer pose. And you can take the mudra again here. So index finger and thumb, lifting that forwards. So you can think, if you want to extend and progress here, you can think about that foot lifting up towards the ceiling, and then you're going to get a little bit more extension in the quad. Still a quad stretch, right? Still got that lovely opening on the shoulder. And it's a balance. Keep a nice little bit of a bend in that front knee. One more deep breath. And release. And then we'll just switch it. We'll go on the other side. So again, first of all, just find. So you turn that thumb out, right? Thumb to the back of the room. Shoulders nice and open. You've got that opening on the chest. Then see if you can go to the inside of the foot, not the outside. Think now, tuck the pelvis under, pull in TVA, pull in pelvic floor. So we've immediately got this nice stretch here on the chest and the shoulder. Flexing that foot. Should feel the quad stretch. You can always hold on to something if you want to help with the balance. If you want to test yourself, maybe find your mudra again. Reach that hand forwards and then just drive the sole of that foot up towards the ceiling. Bending in that front knee. Find that quad stretch. It doesn't matter massively if that knee turns out to the side and there's a little bit of opening in the hip. You'll find a juicy stretch in that, and it's a great balance. Keep drawing in TVA and pelvic floor. One more deep breath. And release. Nice. Okay, let's meet down in downward dog. Find your way down. Maybe a nice slow roll down wherever you feel. Let's come down to the mat. Spread the fingers, spiral the biceps towards each other. Head in between your arms. Lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Doesn't matter if the heels don't go down to the mat. Maybe heel toe. Just walking through your downward dogs. Nice stretch there on the hamstrings, the calf muscles again. If you're struggling there to get that stretch on the backs of the shoulders, you're not getting that nice hip lift, you can always go forward to that plank position. Shoulders down away from ears, push back through those heels, and then just simply lift up the hips. And a couple of times with that, it's a really useful way of putting yourself back into the right position on your dogs. Dropping the hips down, pulling in the core, so a big TVA pelvic floor, and then just lift up the hips. Last one or last breath if you're just holding your downward dog. Hips going as high as you can. Feel the stretch on the backs of the shoulders. Nice and invigorating. And then we're just going to lower knees down towards the floor, into all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And a bit like we did there with our quad stretch, our dancer pose, we're going to take left foot and we're going to bend in the knee, and we're just going to flex that foot and then drive it up to the ceiling. And then we're going to lower it down. So it's a little bit of movement here. So flexing the knee and the foot, flex, drive that foot up towards the ceiling. Just like we did in our balance a minute ago. Knees are hip width apart. Hips are still here, we're not tilting, so go nice and slow. Breathing out, think about working on nice still hips. TVA drawing in, pelvic floor engaged. Nice and slow. If you want a little bit more, now just extend right hand and just hold it there. So if you can just work with the movement on that foot, driving it up towards the ceiling with the arm extended. So super still, like tables here. Nice and still in the hips. So you should feel left glute here working on that lift up. 3 more. Breathing out, flexing in that ankle. And lower. Think about that arm level with the shoulder. Eye gaze to the front of the mat. Lots of control here. It's a little bit different to our normal move. And release. And then we're going to go to the other side. So start with just the leg action to begin with. Check your knees, hip width. We're in neutral spine. We're pulling in that TVA. We're pulling in that pelvic floor. Flex in the foot and start working into your lifts. And lowers. And you only really need to go to hip height on that one with the knee. I think often you can find if you're trying to extend that knee higher than the hip, you might find you arch your lower back. We don't want to arch in the lower back, we want to stay in neutral. Check ears away from shoulders. Shoulders are away from ears. Knees at hip width. We're not tilting in the pelvis. We're pulling in that tummy button, we're pulling in that TVA, we're pulling in that pelvic floor. Try not to arch the lower back. Challenging now if you want. Extend the right arm, hold. Working with these leg movements, hips are super still. Breathing out to lift. Breathing in to lower. The main thing that can happen on this is the lower back will arch, your pelvic tilt each time you lift that leg. Really focus on neutral spine. No arching in the lower back, no tilting. We're working through the glute, working in that squeeze. Keep that foot flexed. 3 more. Breathing out. 2 left. Last one. And release. Lower it down towards the mat then. We're just going to do a little mini Cobra lift. So first of all, just take your hands off the mat. So put them on the wood or the carpet, right? And then just go onto your fingertips. Breathe out. We're just going to go on our fingertips here. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Almost like I put you in that press up position on the fingertips, right? And just lift head, lift shoulders. Look to the front of the mat. And really work at squeezing those shoulder blades together. And then you can slowly release that back down. We're going to do a few of these. Now find the connection TVA pelvic floor. Breathing out, lift. Adding in, if you want, lift up the kneecaps. So toes are on the mat, but kneecaps lifted. Everything lowers. 2 more. Breathing out, lift. Kneecaps lifting if you want to. We're using those fingertips. Eye gaze to the front of the mat. Last one. Think about here the crown of the head shining forwards and up, lengthening through the spine and lowering that back down. Now just drop your elbows down towards the mat. We're going to swan dive. So forehead down on that mat. Breathe out, lift head and shoulders. It's going to feel different to Cobra because it's going to be more at the top of the spine now. TVA pulled in, so pull that tummy button off the mat. Engage that pelvic floor. Leave the kneecaps down. Adding in if you want, lifting up elbows, hands. And lower. So it should feel like we're working with a little bit higher, the higher vertebrae than we did on the Cobra. And lower. Adding in if you want, breathing out left. Breathing in, then breathing out, extend, reach forwards. Come back to that cactusy shape and lower it down. This is definitely the move I miss most of all when I have a week off. Reaching it forwards to get those 3 breaths in there, lowering it down. 2 more, let's take a check on that TVA. So we're pulling in, we're engaging there. Try not to hold the breath. Pelvic floor's got that really nice gentle engagement. Lower body's relaxed. And lower. We're going to release that with a cat stretch. So up onto all fours. Spread the fingers. Really press down into the mat. Lift the shoulders up towards the ceiling. Look that towards your knees. Tuck your tummies in. Space between your shoulders. Chin to chest. Take a really big deep breath in. Really filling that space between the shoulder blades. So from there, we're going to come down to our planks. Elbows underneath your shoulders. TVA in, I was going to say it in my normal way. TVA in, pelvic floor in, lift up the hips. Hovering then above the mat. Let's work at really squeezing here. No arching in the lower back. Big squeezes. If you want a little bit more, straighten one leg. Straighten the other leg. We're going to go for just a plain hold for 30 seconds, whichever one you want to take. Shoulders down away from ears, eye gaze to the front of the mat. Pushing back towards the heels and the back of the room. Notice now if you're holding your breath. Just breathe. Thinking about the crown of the head there, just shining forwards. Try not to let the head really dip down towards the hands. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower one knee, slowly lower the other knee. Drop down the hips, we'll have a 10 seconds rest. And then we're going to do that one again. Just a nice straightforward 30-second hold. So just shake out the fingers. Sometimes we can hold the wrists really tight. Shake out the fingers and the wrists. Ready to go again. TVA pulled in. Pelvic floors in. Lift. Now really squeeze TVA. So where that tummy button is, squeeze and then think about hollowing the bits either side of the tummy button down towards the hips. And even with that move, right, you can be doing that any time of the day, anywhere you are. Just working with those engagements. Pulling in. Straightening legs if you want to take that full option. Into that nice hover. Get a nice stretch on the arches of the feet there as well. Shoulders down away from ears. 30 seconds. Some of the mountain runners on my trip, some of the guys, they were joking, saying that they were doing a 9-minute plank. But we'll do that one next week. Think about the crown of the head shining forwards. Squeezing TVA. TVA is a big one on this. So really thinking about those tummy muscles, pulling in, and we're not holding the breath. Very tempting to hold the breath on planks. Gets really difficult when you do that though. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower one knee, slowly lower the other, lowering down the hips. Again, just shaking out the wrist and the fingers. Go one more. One more 30 seconds. Big squeeze. Let's go again then. TVA pulled in, pelvic floor pulled in. Really, really work at just these engagements. Can do this any time in the day. I promise this will give you a six-pack if you do this all day long. Try not to let the head drop. Straightening legs if you want to do it. Press back towards those heels. We're not arching in the lower back. We're squeezing TVA. Not holding that breath. Keep breathing. Crown of the head shining forwards. Quite a nice way to build up a body strength, this one too. Ready then. 10, 9, 8. Keep squeezing now. 7, 6, 5. Final effort. 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently lower yourself down and come back towards your child's pose. So whether you're sitting all the way back to your heels or maybe like a puppy dog, right? Hips lifted up into the air, whichever one suits you best today. Just gently wiggle hips side to side. Nice stretch for the lower back. And maybe take some belly breaths here, right? So send the breath right down. Send it to that lower back. And we're going to bring those side bends back in. So just walk the hands over to the left side and then just place the right hand on top of the left hand. Just find your side body stretch there again. So as you're doing your belly breaths, you can extend, so breathe into the belly. And then breathe into that chest and you're going to find your side bend there. Almost like taking those yogic breaths that I give you towards the end, but put them into your child's pose. Breathe into the belly, then fill out the rib cage. Take it nice and high and then feel into the side stretch. Then gently just walk the hands over to the other side, the right side, take them off the mat. Put the left hand on top of the right hand. The same thing, just 4 deep breaths. Filling out the belly, filling out the chest. And then you might really feel that on the outside of the shoulder and into your side stretch. Two more breaths. So from there, we're going to come onto our side. I'll do a quick check on the time. So pick a side, and we're going to just start with our clams. So bending the knees, lift the heels up so they're level with the hips, top hips set over the top of that bottom hip. TVA's in, so really find the tummy button, draw it in. Pelvic floor engages, lift the top knee and lower. Shoulders relax, lift. And lower. Immediately you should get that glute med. We do this one a lot. We've done that quad stretch earlier, so quads as well should be nice and loose for this. Should get straight into that glute med. Check you're not arching in the lower back. So sometimes that means lining up your shoulders with your hips. Almost, you can almost let the shoulders come forwards even in that. We don't want to be arching in the lower back there. Lift and lower. Breathing out lift, breathing in lower. Three more. Straightening out the legs then, using the front of the mat. Lift the top leg, lift the bottom leg, we're going into the double leg lift, lift the rib cage, arm up and over, balance. Sometimes it's really nice just to come back to that nice simple move after a couple of weeks off. Lift, lift, rib cage, immediately you get all the core, take the arm up and over, and release. 2 more, lift, lift, rib cage, TVA, arm up and over. Keep working at squeezing in the core, lengthening down the legs. Last one, lift, lift, rib cage, arm up and over. Feel that nice extension around the hips. And release that down. We're going to go into a side plank. So elbow underneath shoulder. So a little bit of shoulder, it's kind of upper body work today. And we're going to just lift up the hips. So option there, knees bent. Knees there in line with your elbow and your shoulder. So it's all working down the sides. Otherwise you can go legs straight. Ready for a 30-second hold then. Lifting up hips. Squeeze the glutes here. Squeeze the glutes. So we've got the engagement there from the side of the glute med into the obliques on the sides. TVA pulled in. Think about the chest. Try and keep that nice and open. Remember our chest stretches we did in the warm-up. We don't want to change any of that we've done. Try not to let the head drop. Keep the head in line with the body. Keep squeezing now. Keep lifting up. This is a shoulder, upper body strength work. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower yourself down. We'll switch it all over onto the other side. Starting with the clams. Bending knees. Lift feet level with the hips, even higher if you want to. Got heels should be in line with your hips and your shoulders. Arms straight, you can touch your heels. That's nice and satisfying, isn't it? Simple things. Lift that knee and lower. TVA engages, so tummy button pulled in. Try and hollow down towards the hips. Pelvic floor engaged. Shoulders relaxed. And even this move, you find a nice little gentle stretch for the neck, right? If you've just got your hand there under your head. Going back to our moves earlier, neck releasing. Lift, and now should find the glute med. Outside back of the bum. I did all these before my race. Did these the day before. Checked all my glutes were firing. Checked I wasn't tight from sitting on the plane and all the airport stuff. 4 more. Breathing out, lift. Breathing in, lower. And 2. Last one. Straightening out the legs. Going to go for 4 of these double leg lifts. Lifting the top leg. Lift the bottom leg. Work with the rib cage. Arm up and over. You can really feel the core needs to work for that balance. And lower. Lift. Lift. Rib cage. Up and over. Work with that TVA. And release. 2 more. Lift. Lift. Rib cage. Up and over for that balance. Check those glutes are firing too. Lower. Last one. Lift. Lift. Rib cage. Up and over. And release. Into that side plank then. So elbow underneath your shoulder. Lifting up the hips. Nice and simple. Straight away we've got to work with that TBA. Maybe you've got your legs straight, you like that one. Really thinking about squeezing those glutes, lifting up those hips. Notice what's happening with the chest. Try not to let the chest drop like this. So almost shoulders like shining up towards the ceiling. Holding, squeezing, breathing. Check that head's in line with the spine. Keep working with this. Keep squeezing. It's hard. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently lower yourself down. Onto your backs then. Go for a classic, shall we? 5 sets. I'll do 1 set to warm up. We won't count that one. So just find neutral spine, perhaps pelvic tilt. Find that TVA and draw in. So tummy button engaging, pulling down towards the mat. Immediately you should get the engagement there through the pelvic floor. Right angles at the backs of the knees. So sometimes you've got to just take those feet further away towards the end of the mat. Shoulders relaxed, length at the back of the neck. You need to get your cushion in there. We don't want the chin protruding up to the ceiling. Lift one leg to tabletop. And lower. Hands on hips then. Let's see what the hips are doing. Are they tilting side to side? Lift and lower. And lift. Try and keep those right ankles behind the knee. Sometimes you have to just take your feet a little bit further. We want to hinge from the hip here. And lower. And lift. And lower. So I'm watching some of the screens here, and I'm just gonna say that there's a few here that are hinging from the knee. So really think here about that right angle behind the knee. So just take the feet a little bit further away. Lift and lower. So when I say as well, like the tilting in the hips, think about the tilting in the lower back as well. So try not to feel tilting in the lower back. Maybe that helps you find the core center in that one. We're not holding that breath. Then we're going to lift head and shoulders, look to the knees, and we're going to pulse the arms up and down. And what I want you to think about here is the TVA, so where the tummy button is. Because when you pulse the arms, we're hinging from the shoulders there. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, not hinging. I don't know what I meant then. From the shoulders. But basically, the tummy wants to wobble. So I want you to focus on keeping the tummy as still as you can whilst you're shaking these arms up and down, right? Stay strong in the wrist, stay strong in the forearms. So no jelly bellies. Think of trifle there. Pulling in. Keep the tummies really still. Looking towards the knees. Find your fingertips there, really work. Almost like you're pushing down levers. Try not to hold the breath. Then we're going to slide the hands up towards the knees. We're going to go nice and slow. Get to the point where you can't go any further. And then just see if you can find the hips, hold. Check that you're breathing normally. And that your knees aren't pronating in. Nor your feet. Your feet are parallel. Slowly release that back down. I'm not going to count that one. Ready then, 5 sets. If you want the next layer, we're going up to tabletop, so imprinting. 4 toe taps, ready. 4. And 3. Try and keep the right ankle behind the knee. And 2. And 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straightening legs, reach for those knees. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Ready to go again. Shoulders are relaxed. 4. And 3. Toe taps. And 2. And 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. reaching towards those knees. Let's hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Checking up on your head here, so if your chin's lifted, just grab a cushion, put that underneath your head. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straightening those legs and reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. 2 sets left. Pelvic floor is engaged. 4 toe taps. 4 and 3 and 2. Shoulders relaxed. And 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straightening the legs and reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. If it's getting too much, take it down to the first layer we did. Last time, 4 toe taps. 4 and 3. Keep it imprinting. And 2 and 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7. Stay firm. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten those legs and reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Take a full body stretch. Arms over the head, straightening out the legs. Just take a big squeeze here. So scrunch up the wrists. Get your shoulders up right to your ears. Pull your tummy in. Squeeze your glutes. Press the backs of your knees into the mat. Point your toes. Scrunch up your face. Tighten up your jaw. Take a big deep breath in. As you breathe out, just let go of all that tightness. Cactus out the arms. Turn the feet out. Relax the hips. Nice long exhale. Bending the knees then. We're going to do a slightly different order on the next bit. So T-shape your arms out to the sides. Knees, feet hip width apart. Breathing out, let both knees drop across to one side. So there's that lower back release. Look in the other direction. Feel your chest stretch. Breathe in, recenter. Breathing out over to the other side. Adding in if you want to, then you can tabletop that. Breathing out, take that across, and then just take those feet up to the corners of your room. Feel the chest stretch. Try and keep the back of the head in contact with the floor of the mat. Breathe in, recenter. Breathing out over to the other side. Feel that hamstring stretch. Maybe IT band you get in there as well. 4 more. Or maybe you're just holding your spine twist stretch. That's totally fine too. And just feeling the chest stretch in there as well. And the neck release. Breathe out into those extensions. 2 more if you're doing out to the corners. Breathing in at center. Breathing out and across. Bending the knees then. Check you're in neutral spine. Find pelvic floor and TBA. Just sliding one heel away. And then sliding that back up. Knees, feet, hip width apart. Switch over, sliding that heel away. And bringing it back up. You probably know where we're going now. Just thought I'd switch a few things around. If you want a little bit more, then you can keep these hips still when we're doing these heel slides. Tabletop it, so imprint that lower back down towards the floor, lengthening one leg away, and bend. Breathing out, lengthen. Breathe in, recenter. Otherwise, stick with those heel slides, keeping the hips still. Adding in then upper body. So we're just going to lift the outside hand down to the heel and the inside to the knee. Then we're going to recenter the shoulders down, inside hand to the knee, outside hand goes down to the outside of the heel. Recenter. Take that outside hand round to the foot on the bent knee. And you get that lovely little shoulder dip round and a little crunch in the obliques. Breathing out as you lift and extend. Three more. Try and be aware of these tabletop shapes at the top. Try not to lose that tabletop shape. I just noticed I was crunching in a little bit there on my camera. Try not to pull the knee too far in towards the chest. Placing the feet down, bend the knees, arms up towards the ceiling, then take the thumbs to the inside, take the arms over the head, circle that all the way around the body. Nice and slow. Let's see if we can get the exhales, maybe 8 seconds. Breathing out as you go all the way around. Try there, keeping the shoulders and the chest just down, almost like they're melting into the mat. And maybe you need to pelvic tilt, so pelvic floor, TVA, just to check that the chest, the ribcage stays down. So take that core engagement there. If you want a little bit more, tabletop it. As the arms go over the head, straightening out both legs. Double leg stretch. Circle it round for that long exhale. Breathing in its center and then extend. Exhale. 4 more. Keep working on that imprint. It's that same amount of imprint you used on your 5 sets of 100. And last one. Placing the feet down then. Just take your hands behind your head and we're going to work with a little chest lift. Knees, feet, hip width apart, parallel. Just breathe out, just looking towards the knees. Lift the head, the chest. Try not to bring the elbows in. So keep the chest open and lower it back down. Breathe out, just that little chest lift. Rib cage going down to hips and lower down. We sort of do a little bit of this in the 100, but I'm going to just take a little bit more focus on it today. Breathe out, lift, look towards the knees, and lower. Nice and slow. And lower. Okay, so going to start putting some moves together here. So go back to your tabletop position. Place your hands behind your head, keep your elbows here right down on the mat. They're going to stabilise you here on the mat. And just see if you can either one leg, toe tap down, or if you can, it's a double toe tap down. That's intense. See how you feel on that one. Maybe you're happier on the one leg, like we've done earlier. Otherwise, you're going to try your double leg. Then we're going to mix the two together. So you've either got your one leg or your double leg toe tap down, and then chest lift up. Lower it down, and then do to the legs. Double leg down, chest lift up. Try and keep the control here. Double leg down, elbows down, chest lift up. Last one, double leg lift down. It's quite intense. I haven't really been doing work like this recently. And lower down, have a little rest, and then we're going to lift them both together. So, when you're ready then, chest lift up, come up to your tabletop, and then lift everything up, everything down, everything up, everything lowers down, right? If it's too much, you go to one leg. Lift, and you lower. And then you switch legs, you lift, and you lower. It is a really tough move, this. Everything lift, keep your imprint, lower. Everything lift. You might feel this in your abs tomorrow. 2 more. Lift, really work with this imprint. Lower, and lift. And lower it down. Okay, really nice. Bring the heels just a bit closer in towards your bum and take a pelvic tilt here. Almost use this like a massage for the lower back. So just tilting pelvis, you find that your pelvic floor draws in naturally. You find the TVA pulls in as you begin to lift up through the hips. So we're going to take this up into our shoulder bridge. So when you're ready, pelvic tilt, lower back presses into the mat. Start to lift up your hips as high as you can. Bring the arms up over the head. Get the length at the back of the neck. Lifting if you can here. Keep the hips still. Lifting one leg up. Ready to move with the arms. Then bring the arms all the way back down, but keep that nice bridge lift. Squeezing through the glutes. Bring the arms back over. 3 more times. Stabilize these shoulders down. Keep that length at the back of the neck. Really work at squeezing that glute. I know it wants to collapse. Keep pushing up through that glute. Keep both hips level. Keep that foot up level. Last time, arms up and over. Arms down, leg down. Slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, lower that bridge down. Pelvic tilt, lift it back up. Arms back over, find the length at the back of the neck. We're going to go to the other side. One leg lifts, keep those hips still. Bring the arms down 4 times. Bring the arm back over. Check the arch hasn't dropped on the foot, the big toe still engaging with the mat. Bring down, up and over. 2 more, keep squeezing that glute. I know this is hard. Keep those hips still. All the power's in these glutes. Lowering those arms all the way down, lower the leg. Vertebrae by vertebrae, lowering down. Hug the knees into the chest, just a little circle, or rock side to side. Little play with some teaser work then, so just feet and knees hip width apart, and then just come to a nice upright position here, so shoulders back, lift at the chest. We're just going to lift up one arm, just testing and lowering it down, then over to the other side, lift, and lower. Then we're going to take that hand up and over like we did in that warm-up, that rainbow. Touch behind, up and over, recenter, other side, up and over to the rainbow. And you can take that look behind as well. Halfway down then. Lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. Now instead of rainbows, it's a tray of Ferrero Rocher at a party, and you're just going to turn it. Would you like a Ferrero Rocher? Recenter. Over to the other side. For those twists. Recenter, bring it all the way up. Lift, lower. Lift, lower. Keep pulling in the core. Rainbow over. Into that twist. Recenter, other side, over. Recenter, halfway down. Lift. Lower. Lift, pull in that pelvic floor. Lower. Ferrero Rocher. Round to the side. Center. Round to the other side. Drawing back up. Last time. Lift. Lower. And lift. Try not to let the knees turn out here. Lower. Both arms. Lift. Lower. Rainbow. Twist. Working into that chest. And around. Other side. Rainbow. Look behind. Halfway. double arm lift. Don't keep those feet down. Lower, last time for a rotate round. Other side. Recenter then. Gonna just take a little balance then. So lift up your feet and hold on to your thighs to begin with. Start to draw your shoulders back and lift up your chest. So we get right up on our sit bones there. Then from there, you could try straightening one leg and then bend. Straighten. That's quite hard, right? And then bend. So a little bit hamstringy. Straighten and bend. So if you want a little bit more, so if you can let go, straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. If you want a little bit more, we can go legs straight and we have to hold on for that. We're going into the teaser. Holding on. Chest lifted, shoulders back. I know, like, totally hard, right, to have working this balance. I'm working like 100% right now. Then if you're here and you want to test arms, you lift one arm and you lower. And you lift the other arm. And there's so many layers to all this, right? And then last one, if you want it, is the double arm. Lift. Lower. Yeah, nice. Some nice little challenges in there, isn't there? Okay, lower it down, straighten the legs. Breathe in, lift. Breathing out, circle the arms down and around, just touch those toes. Breathe in, lift, breathing out then. Bring it all the way down to your full body stretch. Hands in the plant plot if you're like me. Circle it all the way around the body. Lifting back up. Bring it forwards. If you want to hold there, have a hamstring stretch, just go for that. Otherwise, just keep working into this full body roll down. Nice and slowly letting the vertebrae one by one lift into your lowers. So just get nice and upright in that top part. Think about lifting up the chest, taking the shoulder blades back. Control as you go down. Last one. Circle it round. Brilliant. Facing this way then.